If you're new to paper piecing and are looking for some expert tips, hi, I'm Laura and I do paper piecing pretty much every day. I design my own patterns and I love paper piecing. I have made these milestone flags for my kids when they were 0 to 1 year old, and these are incredibly detailed. They have very small pieces. This was probably the most intense project I've done. But I've spent hundreds of hours otherwise doing paper piecing, so I'd love to share my knowledge with you. My number one tip is to always make a fabric legend like this. So every paper piece is going to have numbers associated with fabric colors. If your pattern's only 2 colors, maybe not as big of a deal, but as soon as you're getting into 3 or more colors, you really want to have a cheat sheet to look at that shows you what each number or what each pattern represents. So I was making a hot dog and my paper piece patterns had numbers 1 to 5 on them. So I just really quickly wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what each color represents. So black was my background and black was number 1. This tan was number 2, so that when I have my fabric and I'm cutting out the pieces for the pattern, I always have this right beside me and I can quickly just check. I take the fabric, especially as these are very similar, hold it against, yep, that's number 2, that's what I'm cutting out. I have made so many mistakes, even with the legend, of cutting the wrong color fabric and sewing it on and then getting really frustrated. So having this absolutely helps, and you'll still might make mistakes, but so much of a lesser chance by having a legend. Some patterns are going to come with their own legend, which can help you out. This one I did was for the cow abstractions, and it had a little space for a tiny little fabric swatch that associated with a symbol that was on the paper piece pattern, and that was super useful because this specific paper piece pattern had a lot of colors. So every single time I was cutting, I would refer to my sheet and just make sure I was cutting the right fabric. That is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to always do everything in batches. When I first started, I would cut each piece of fabric, sew it, press it, and then see what was the next color I'm going to cut. Now what I do to make it go so much quicker is to cut out all my pieces and then cut out all of the fabric for the entire paper piece. That way you know if you have enough fabric. If you don't want to be left with not enough fabric at the end of making your project. So I always cut the biggest pieces first. So look for your paper piece pattern and say, what am I going to need the most amount of fabric for, and cut those first, because once you get into smaller pieces, you can get kind of creative with even scraps if you're worried about the amount of fabric you have. Once you've cut everything out, and I cut them in order and I lay them down, so if this pattern, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I lay piece 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that when I bring it to my sewing machine, my pieces are in order, ready to go, and I can quickly sew them one by one and not have to worry about cutting fabric at my machine. And then once I've cut everything, I fold my paper so that all of the creases are already folded into my paper piece pattern. And then you bring everything over to your machine, sew, roll, or sew, press. And it goes so much quicker, I promise you. And my third and final tip is that you don't need hardly any fancy tools for paper piecing. I've seen so many tools over the years that people are using. People have like light boxes so that you can see through the fabric in the paper. I don't see the need for that at all. I can see through my fabric. I print on thin paper, thin regular computer paper. It's nothing fancy. People have special rulers for cutting a 1/4 inch. I, again, don't really see the need for that. If you have quilting rulers, if you have a rotary cutter, things that you would have for quilting, a rotary mat, a self-healing cutting mat, those are basic quilting tools. The one tool that I find so useful is a seam roller. So as you go through paper piecing, you need to press each seam as you do it. And some people use mini irons and they have a little mini ironing board beside their quilting table. I, again, don't find that necessary. This tool, I think it's like $10 on Amazon. It should be too. It's literally plastic and a small piece of wood. What it does is you sew your paper piece pattern and then fold it and you just roll the seam, and it honestly puts such a good crease in the fabric. There's no need to press it with an iron. I press the pieces at the end once I'm done with my iron, but as I'm going through, I just roll the seams. This thing is so effective and so simple. Do not fall for any other gimmicks. This is really the only special tool that I use for paper piecing that is different than my other sewing and quilting projects. Thanks for following along. If you have any questions on paper piecing, I would love to answer. Thanks so much.